5 disturbing true scary stories that will give you nightmares. The hikers found the tent first. January 26, 1959. Ural Mountains, Russia. It was cut open from the inside. Sliced through with a knife. Like someone was desperate to escape. But escape from what? They were in the middle of nowhere. Snow for miles. No other people. No animals. Just 9 experienced hikers. And something that made them run barefoot into negative 30-degree weather. Investigators would find their bodies scattered across the mountainside. Some with injuries that physics couldn't explain. And 60 years later, no one knows what happened that night. These are 5 real cases. 5 true horror stories. No fiction. No exaggeration. Just what was found. What was documented. What remains unexplained. Story 1. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old. Expert mountaineer. He'd planned everything. Supplies. Emergency procedures. They were prepared for the cold. For the terrain. For everything rational. On January 28th, they made camp on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl. The name means dead mountain in the local Mansi language. The Mansi people avoided it, said it was cursed, but the hikers didn't believe in curses. That night, something happened. Search teams found the tent 3 weeks later. February 26th. Everything inside was still there. Food, warm clothes, boots. The hikers had abandoned everything, cut through the tent, fled wearing only underwear and socks. Footprints showed they walked, not ran at first. Calmly, in single file, like they were following someone, or something. The prints led downhill toward the forest. About a mile away, the first 2 bodies were found under a cedar tree. Wearing minimal clothing, dead from hypothermia. But they tried to climb the tree. Branches were broken up to 15 feet high, like they were trying to see something, or get away from something below. 3 more bodies were found between the tree and the tent. Igor Dyatlov among them. Also hypothermia, but positioned oddly, like they tried to return to the tent. Didn't make it. The last 4 bodies took 2 months to find. They were buried under 13 feet of snow in a ravine. And this is where it gets strange. One had a fractured skull. Another had major chest fractures. Ribs broken. The force required was compared to a car crash. The medical examiner said the trauma was too severe for human strength. Something with massive force had hit them. One woman was missing her tongue and eyes. Soft tissue removed. But not by scavengers. The pattern was wrong. Too precise. Stranger still, some clothing showed high levels of radiation. Not enough to kill, but present. Unexplained. The Soviet investigation concluded compelling natural force caused the deaths. That's it. No details. Case closed. Classified for decades. Theories emerged. Avalanche. But experts said the slope wasn't steep enough. Infrasound. Low-frequency wind causing panic. But doesn't explain the injuries. Military testing. Chemical weapons. But no evidence. Some locals spoke of strange lights in the sky that night. Orange orbs. But those reports came later. Could have been added. Embellished. In 2019, 60 years later, Russia reopened the investigation. New conclusion: slab avalanche. A delayed snow collapse that triggered panic. They fled, got lost, died from cold and injuries from the snow. But it doesn't explain everything. The radiation, the missing soft tissue, the massive force injuries, the calm initial departure from the tent. And it doesn't explain why experienced mountaineers would cut through their tent instead of using the entrance. Or why they'd walk away from safety wearing almost nothing. Or why some tried to climb a tree while others buried themselves in snow. The Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries. 9 people died in the wilderness. Something made them run. Something terrified them more than freezing to death. And we still don't know what. Story 2. The Hinterkaifeck Murders. March 31, 1922. Hinterkaifeck Farm, Bavaria, Germany. 6 people lived there. The family hadn't been seen for 4 days. Mail piled up. Neighbors noticed. A search party was sent. They found all 6 bodies. Murdered. Stacked in the barn. Covered with hay. The killer had stayed in the house for days after. Eating their food. Feeding their animals. Sleeping in their beds. And no one was ever caught. Days before the murders, the farmer Andreas Gruber told neighbors about strange things. Footprints in the snow leading to his farm. But none leading away. Like someone walked there. And stayed. He heard footsteps in the attic. Found a newspaper in the house he didn't subscribe to. Keys went missing. His daughter heard noises too. Voices. Andreas investigated the attic. Found nothing. But the sounds continued. The family was scared. Their maid quit suddenly. Said the house was haunted. Refused to return. They hired a new maid. She arrived the day of the murders. She died too. The murders happened in the evening. One by one. Starting in the barn. Andreas. His wife. His daughter. His grandchildren were upstairs in the house. Killed last. The new maid was killed in her room. Weapon was a mattock. Farm tool. Like a pickaxe. Blunt force trauma. But precise. Methodical. The killer knew what they were doing. After the murders, the killer stayed. For days. Fed the animals. Ate meals. Used the fireplace. Neighbors saw smoke from the chimney. Thought the family was home. Police investigated. Over 100 suspects. No arrests. No convictions. The case was never solved. Theories included a disgruntled farmhand. A mentally ill drifter. Even the family's former maid. But no evidence supported any theory strongly enough. The farm was demolished in 1923. Too haunted. Too cursed. No one would buy it. The land sat empty for decades. The skulls of the victims were sent to Munich for examination. Looking for clues. They were never returned to the families. They went missing. Lost somewhere in the chaos of World War II. To this day, no one knows who killed the Gruber family. Or why they stayed in that house. Living among the bodies. Waiting. Story 3. The Villisca Axe Murders. June 10, 1912. Villisca, Iowa. 8 people were murdered in a single house. 6 children. 2 adults. All killed while they slept. X. Blunt force. Silent. Efficient. The killer locked the doors afterward. Covered the windows. Covered all the mirrors. Left the X. And disappeared. No one was ever convicted. The Moore family lived there. Parents and 4 children. They'd attended a church event that evening. Brought home 2 neighbor girls for a sleepover. 8 people total. Sometime after midnight, someone entered. Went room to room. Starting upstairs. Killed all 6 children first. Then downstairs. The 2 adults. None of them woke up. Or if they did, they didn't scream. Neighbors heard nothing. The killer worked in complete silence. Morning came. The neighbor woman came to visit. Door was locked. Unusual. She called for them. No answer. She got the town marshal. They entered. Found all 8 bodies. Blood everywhere. But organized. Methodical. The killer had covered every mirror in the house. 23 mirrors. Draped with cloth. Psychologists later said mirror coverings suggest the killer couldn't stand to see their reflection. Shame. Or superstition. Suspects were questioned. A traveling preacher. A known criminal passing through. A local man with grudges. Over 200 people were interviewed. 2 trials. Both ended in acquittal. Not enough evidence. Too much time passed. Crime scene was contaminated. Curious townspeople walked through before police secured it. The house stood empty for years. Finally sold. Used as various businesses. Then abandoned again. Now it's a museum. You can visit. Stay overnight. Many people have. Many report strange things. Sounds. Shadows. Feelings. But those are just stories. What's real is this: 8 people were murdered in that house. Someone walked in, killed them all, covered the mirrors, and walked away, and got away with it. Story 4. The Somerton Man. December 1st, 1948. Somerton Beach, Adelaide, Australia. A man's body was found. Well-dressed. No identification. No wallet. No labels in his clothes. All identifying marks removed. In his pocket, a scrap of paper. 2 words. Tamam should. Persian for ended or finished. Torn from a rare book of poetry. 75 years later, no one knows who he was. The man appeared healthy. About 40 to 45 years old. No obvious cause of death. Autopsy showed congestion in his organs. Possibly poisoned. But no poison was identified. His clothes were expensive. Australian-made but unusual. Shoes were American. Never worn. Still had sand between the sole and the upper. Like he walked on the beach once. And died. Police couldn't identify him. No missing person reports matched. No one came forward. They published his photo. His fingerprints. Sent them worldwide. Nothing. Then investigators found the book. The one the paper came from. In a car. Unlocked. Parked near the beach. Inside, a phone number. And a code. Handwritten. Random letters. Never decrypted. They traced the number. A woman. She looked at the body. Said she didn't know him. But witnesses said she seemed shocked. Like she recognized him but wouldn't admit it. She had a copy of the same rare book. She'd given it to a man during the war. But she said it wasn't this man. Theories multiplied. But Cold War casualty. Soviet intelligence. American intelligence. The code could be a cipher. The poison could be undetectable. Or he was a rejected lover. Came to Australia to find someone. Took poison on the beach. Died alone. The woman was his former love. Refused to acknowledge him. In 2021, they exhumed his body. DNA testing. Genealogy databases. In 2022, a researcher claimed to have identified him. An electrical engineer from Melbourne. But authorities haven't confirmed it. The case remains officially unsolved. What we know for certain: a man died on a beach. He removed all ways to identify himself. Left a cryptic message. And 75 years later, we still don't know why. Or who he really was. Or what he was running from. Story 5. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse Keepers. December 26, 1900. Flannan Isles, Scotland. A supply ship arrived at the lighthouse. No one answered the horn. No flag was raised. The lighthouse keepers were supposed to signal. They didn't. The ship's crew went ashore. Found the lighthouse empty. Beds unmade. Clock stopped. Table set for a meal. Uneaten. 1 chair overturned. 3 men. Vanished. Never found. Thomas Marshall. James Duckett. Donald MacArthur. Experienced lighthouse keepers. Followed strict routines. Wrote everything in the log. Until December 15th. Then entries stopped. The last entry read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." But weather records showed no storm. Ships in the area reported calm seas on the 15th. Whatever the keepers experienced, others didn't. Investigators found strange things. 2 of the 3 rain slickers were missing, but 1 remained. Lighthouse keepers never both went outside during a storm. 1 always stayed. It was the rule. For safety. But if they both left, why? What could make them break that fundamental rule? The west landing had damage. Ropes displaced. A box of tools 70 feet above normal position. Something violent happened there. But the east landing, where they normally docked, was untouched. Theories emerged. A massive wave, a rogue wave, hit the west side. Swept away 2 keepers. The 3rd ran out to help. Was swept away too. But that doesn't explain why 2 were outside together. Doesn't explain the calm weather. Others suggested murder. 1 keeper killed the others. Threw them in the sea. Then killed himself. Jumped. But no evidence supported it. No motive. No signs of struggle inside. Supernatural explanations arose. Sea spirits. Phantom ships. The Flannan Isles were considered haunted by locals. But those are stories, not evidence. The official report concluded, unexplained disappearance. That's it. 3 men vanished from a locked island. In calm weather. Leaving no trace. No bodies. No answers. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse is automated now. No one lives there. The last entry in that logbook remains. God is over all. 3 men disappeared. Something made them abandon their post, break their rules, go outside, and vanish. We'll never know what. Only that it happened. And they're still gone. These are 5 true scary stories. 5 real events. 5 mysteries that remain unsolved or unexplained. 9 hikers dead in the snow. 6 people murdered at a farm. 8 killed with an axe. A man who erased his identity. 3 lighthouse keepers who vanished. No fiction. No embellishment. Just what happened. What was found. What was documented. And what we still don't understand. The scariest stories aren't the ones we make up. They're the ones that actually happened. The ones where people died and no one knows why. The ones where evidence exists but doesn't add up. The ones where the answers died with the victims. Because fiction ends. The author ties it up. Gives you closure. Explains the monster. Kills the villain. Resolves the mystery. But real horror doesn't work that way. Real horror just stays. Unsolved. Unexplained. Unresolved. Forever. So you just watched 5 true stories that will absolutely give you nightmares tonight. Not because they're made up. Because they're real. Because they happened. Because someone lived through them and never got answers. If your skin is crawling right now, if you're checking over your shoulder, if you're going to sleep with the lights on, annihilate that like button. Destroy it like that tent was destroyed. Smash it. Want more true horror that'll make you question everything? Obliterate that subscribe button and demolish that notification bell. Because we're diving into real mysteries, real disappearances, real horrors that actually happened. Comment below, which story disturbed you the most? Dyatlov Pass? The Somerton Man? Those lighthouse keepers? Tell us. And if you know any real unsolved mysteries, drop them in the comments. Your suggestion could be our next video. Share this with your friends. Because misery loves company. Because they need to feel this same existential dread. Because these stories need to be known. Real people died. Real families never got closure. Real mysteries remain. And here's the thing that should really scare you. These are just 5 cases. There are thousands more. Thousands of unsolved disappearances. Unexplained deaths. Mysteries that span decades. Centuries. Some will never be solved. Some answers died with the victims. Some secrets are buried forever. Sleep tight tonight. Or try to. Just remember, every one of these stories happened to real people who thought they were safe. who thought they were prepared, who thought that could never happen to me. Until it did. More true nightmares coming your way. Stay scared, stay aware, and remember, the real world is far more terrifying than any fiction.